What is up, guys? Tomorrow's Bill MMA here with a brand new video. Hope you're having a great day today. Today we'll be discussing the best and worst commentary moments in recent UFC history. UFC commentary has been getting a lot of flack lately, especially after the last UFC card. So today I'll be highlighting what I think are the best and worst moments in commentary. I do think commentary is pretty important because it does add hype to the UFC card when, your favorite fighter gets a knockout and then John Anik's going crazy and he says one of his iconic lines. That just really adds to the viewing experience, in my opinion. Alright, the first card I'd like to talk about is UFC 329 with DC and Rogan. Now, I picked Robert Whittaker to win this fight. Not to brag, but it wasn't exactly how I thought it was going to go and predicted it. But, that's just me being a genius. Anyways, when I was watching this fight, Robert Whittaker was piecing him up. I was like, damn, he looks pretty good. He looked a little small out there, but I didn't think that's, was thing to harp on for the entire fucking fight, Joe Rogan. It was kind of annoying hearing Joe Rogan and DC fat shame Whittaker and calling him fat and slow and out of shape after. And, if he was, fat, slow, and out of shape, if he looked like Jamal Hill out there, I'd be like, okay, let's chill. But no, he was lighting up Nikita Krylov on the feet and whooping his ass and really putting that belt to Nikita Krylov's ass. So you can't really be shitting on Whittaker for his shitty gas tank and fatness if he's beating the shit out of a top 10 light heavyweight. Did he look small out there? Yeah, but he also looked fast as fuck and looked super clean on the feet with his boxing. So I think that was a really bad take from Joe Rogan and DC right there. And you're probably wondering why I have a picture of Max Holloway on the screen, even though the fight lasted 4 seconds because McGregor blew out his knee. Well, DC fucked up Max Holloway's catchphrase. Max Holloway's catchphrase is to be the best, you have to beat the best because the best is blessed. And Max Holloway's nickname is, of course, Blessed. Well, they're talking about the fight, doing the pre-fight shenanigans or whatever. And DC just royally fucks up, and I mean royally, fucks up Max Holloway's phrase. I don't know the exact phrase, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm gonna try to recreate what DC said. So he goes, to beat the best, you gotta beat blessed, because the blessed expresses the best. I think that might be actually word for word what he said. Now that's just fucking horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, not only does it not make sense, it's not even close to what Max Holloway's quote is. And I was watching it live. I was like, this was fucking horrible. I was like, damn, he fucked it up that bad. And people that don't even know his phrase probably just caught how little it made sense. So that's the first thing I like to talk about. The commentating on this card was horrible. From Theo Vaughn coming in saying, oh, Robert needs to knock him out early because he needs to go home to see his wife and kids. Like, what are you talking about, bro? I mean, I love Theo Vaughn, but, bro, get them off the microphone table or commentary table. And then you got Joe Rogan and DC talking about Corey Sandhagen's knee. I didn't put Corey on here, but how his knees exploded and he's not fighting right and he's winning the second round off Mario Batista. Overall, this card was really bad with the commentary. I think they really need to do something with the commentary to fix this. The first good moment I like to talk about in UFC commentary is Stipe versus DC. Both their finishes over each other in their first and second fights. Now, this is where I think commentary really shines in a moment like these. When John Anik uttered these phrases after they beat one another, it really made the moment even better because it's just hype. I don't know how to explain it to you. When Stipe is down 3 rounds, or was getting his ass whooped for the first 2 rounds, has a little bit better third round, and he comes back with the body shots and TKOs DC in the 4th round, and then John A. utters the phrase, "Oh, Stipe exacts his revenge. Miocci's getting the belt back." That's just hype. Like, that's just something you'd be when you think about the fight and you think about the finishing sequence, you think about what just happened. Fucking ad block. Are you serious right now? Anyways. Damn, lost my train of thought. Anyways, when you think about the fight and you think about the finishing sequence, you not only think about those insane body shots, the 1-2 by Stipe, you think about what John Anik says about how Stipe knocked out DC, and he's getting the belt back. And the same thing when DC knocked out Stipe the first time. It was a really good back and forth fight for as long as it lasted. And when the shocking moment happened, because no one picked DC by knockout. If you picked DC to win this fight back in the day, it was by smudge decision, boring as fuck fight. Anyways, when DC did the seemingly impossible by knocking out Stipe in the first round, everyone's in shock. It's an insane moment, and then boom, John Anik caps the moment off with UFC history. Daniel Cormier is the UFC heavyweight champion. It's even better because they're friends, so he has that extra enthusiasm in his voice. So this really just adds. I think when a commentary is good, like this right here, it really can add to a insane moment that much more. Alright guys, next moment I'll be talking about is Dominic Cruz crying every time Keith Peterson's reffing, or could be an early stoppage, but the ref does a good job. Now for this moment, I'll be using DC versus Stipe 3 for the example. But to give this moment some backstory, Dominic Cruz fought Henry Cejudo a couple years ago in, I don't think, Florida. And they were having a pretty back and forth fight. Henry caught him with the knee, and then Dominic Cruz got TKO'd, but he thought it was an early stoppage, even though he took like 400 unanswered blows to the face. Anyways, so he was crying about that, and every time Keith Peterson's reffing, the saltiness comes out of him. He's like, remember the time where I got early stoppage by Henry Cejudo, and everyone's just like, no one fucking cares, dude. Just shut up. But I remember this exact moment. It was DC versus Stipe 3. Stipe knocks down DC, and DC, unlike Dominic Cruz, actually intelligently defends himself and gives the ref a reason not to stop the fight. And Dominic Cruz saw this and just went. Just fucking, the saltiness was pouring out of his pores. I don't know. And he was like, well, what a great job by the referee not stopping it with 1 second left like he did in my fight. Then he just cries about how he got TKO'd by Henry Cejudo. So it's kind of annoying when you're just trying to enjoy the fight, and then you got Dominic Cruz talking about how he got robbed against Henry Cejudo. It's a pretty bad moment. I feel like moments like this, moments like these, they need to be like UFC. This is what problem like having UFC fighters as commentators, because they sometimes talk about how their careers are so good and like, oh, remember when I got TKO'd? Well, lol, I was gay. And you're like, what are you talking about, dude? We're fucking watching two fucking heavyweights staring at each other at range. This happens a lot with Michael Bisping too, when like John Gooden's like talking about how one fighter should be doing this, and Michael Bisping goes, were you MMA champion, buddy? I don't think so. And you're just thinking like, bro, Michael Bisping, you got almost beat by a 45-year-old Dan Henderson. Shut up. Alright guys, next fight I'll be talking about the Strickland Adesanya and John Anik's commentary with the knockdown and his John Anik's instant post-fight reaction. Now, this is what I talk about when a commentary really adds to a moment in a fight. Just imagine the stage. You have Strickland, big underdog, against Adesanya. I picked Strickland, by the way. That's why I'm the best MMA predictor on YouTube. But I digress. Strickland comes to Australia and Israel Adesanya's hometown as a massive underdog. They're going tit for tat in the first round. Bam, massive right hand from Strickland, knocks out Adesanya. Now, that's already an insane moment in itself, but I think this is where the commentary really adds to the moment. You just hear, like, every time I hear or I imagine that knockdown replays in my head, I hear the massive right hand from Strickland, the thud, and then bam, John Anik saying, massive right hand from the challenger, and then Adesanya circles out, massive moment from the underdog, and it gets me hype, I'm not gonna lie. It gets me ready to go run through a brick wall. Now that's where I talk about how the commentary can really make or break a moment, especially with a huge moment like this, because it could have easily been Dominic Cruz saying, oh wow, good job on Mark Goddard for not stopping the fight early, like how I got robbed by Henry Cejudo, and then he fucking, what's the word, he vents for 45 minutes straight, and you're like, bro, shut up. But no, John Anik locks in and makes the moment even better than what it was. And then right afterwards, when Strickland's pointing down, he's beating Adesanya's ass for the whole fight. He's walking him Adesanya down, calling him a bitch or whatever, and then he wins the fight. And then John Anik says, "We have America is likely to have a new champion." I forgot exactly what it was, but it's hype. It just makes the moment that much more complete. If that makes sense. Anyways, this is where I think the commentary really shined, was this fight. Those two moments, because you're already hype in the moment, but look, like when you watch the fight back, the commentary really just adds to the viewing experience. Alright guys, next fight I'll be talking about is Bisping's commentary on Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards 2. Now, no one remembers this fight because it was a Bilal Muhammad fight. I remember it because I picked Bilal Muhammad to win, not to brag or anything for this. Best predictor on YouTube. Anyways, and I thought it was a pretty good fight. The only reason why I thought it was pretty good is because my friend was a big Leon fan, and I was just shitting on Leon the entire fight. And every time Bilal picked up Leon and spiked him on his head, I was just yelling in my friend's face, rage baiting him. But I digress. So after the fight, Bilal obviously wins. Michael Bisping says, "I don't know, man. Maybe he could have won the first round, the third round he won, and fifth round he almost TKO'd him." And John Anik, the goated moment by John Anik, he just says basically, "Bro, don't ever say some stupid shit like that to me again, bro." And this is where I think one big issue with the commentary is sometimes they're really biased. And that really ruins the viewing experience, because you don't want the commentary to, for the casual viewer, you're just watching it, and the commentary has a big big impact on the casual viewer. Because they don't know what's going on for the most part. So another example of biased commentary is Izzy versus Jan Blachowicz, and Joe Rogan's having an orgasm over how Israel Adesanya is not doing shit and just fainting at range, and he's saying after the fight, "Well, he probably won because he fainted more and faked more," even though Jan Blachowicz knocked fucking right out of his ass up with a lot of shots and blocked everything as he had for him and shut him down completely. Another moment is when, so it's just annoying when these guys have obvious bias towards one fighter, because it does really ruin the experience. Because I'm not saying bias is bad, alright? You're going to have bias no matter what, but making it that obvious just really ruins the experience in general. Another moment of absolute bias is when Ilya Topuria fought Ryan Hall, and Joe Rogan just like glazing Ryan Hall. Because he's like, "Oh, look at this guy, he's fighting like Dark Souls, rolling fucking all over the place like a cat." And he's like, "Isn't this so unique?" And you're like, "This is kind of cool, I guess." And then he's like, "Oh, Topuria, he's in danger, man." And then Topuria unleashes 55 punches to the head and knocks out Ryan Hall out cold. And it just makes Joe Rogan look stupid. And that's kind of what happens in a lot of these moments when they're biased to one fighter, is they look stupid, because most of the time they're glazing them up at more than they should be. Guys, last fight I'll be talking about is UFC 199 Rockhold versus Bisping 2. This is a very similar fight situation setup to Strickland versus Adesanya, whereas in Michael Bisping comes in at short notice as a massive underdog against Rockhold. This is probably even like a bigger upset in the sense was because Rockhold put that belt to Michael Bisping's ass in their first fight. No one thought Bisping was going to win, and Michael Bisping comes up on there in short notice and knocks out Luke Rockhold out cold. And excuse me, I'm sorry. Mike Goldberg's reaction really just caps off the insane moment, because not only is this moment insane, but to look at it in Michael Bisping's eyes, this was his first and only shot at the title. He was coming towards the end of his career, and him to knock out Luke Rockhold in spectacular fashion like he did as a massive underdog was just an insane moment. And Mike Goldberg's reaction really not only adds on top of that moment, but it really encapsulates what the entire MMA world, how they felt about Michael Bisping knocking out Luke Rockhold. Now, is Mike Goldberg the best commentator? No, he's had his bad moments, but having a commentator that really, like, having good commentators is really, I think, important for the MMA world I was a little fucked that up a little bit, but we got there. It's very vital to add to the MMA experience because it makes these moments, the upsets against the huge upsets, the insane knockouts, the insane back and forth wars, makes it that much better because you're there watching the fights, and then when you look back on it, you just hear those insane quotes. I don't know how to explain it. It just makes the moment that much better. But that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. DDP versus Usman breakdown will be coming later this week, and one more video will be coming later this week as a surprise video. But I hope you have a great day, guys. See ya.